Ladies, let me talk to you for a second. See, there's this myth going around that men are hard to figure out, that we're some unsolvable puzzle. Nah, baby, we're simple. Not stupid, not basic, just simple. But controlling a man's heart, that's a whole different level. And if you want to truly win him, keep him, and stay in control without ever having to chase him, you're in the right place. So today, I'm giving you 5 secrets, not games, not tricks, but real keys to control his heart. Let's get into it. When it comes to capturing and holding a man's heart, nothing carries more weight than respect. See, love gets the spotlight, love gets the songs, but respect is the foundation. Without it, love becomes unstable, easily shaken, and quick to fade. A man can feel deeply for a woman, be drawn to her beauty, her spirit, her energy. But if he ever starts feeling disrespected, even unintentionally, that bond starts to weaken. And eventually, no matter how strong his emotions once were, he'll pull away. Because for a man, respect isn't optional, it's oxygen. Now, respect doesn't mean walking on eggshells. It's not about silence, submission, or hiding your opinions. Real respect is about knowing how to speak truth with grace. It's about knowing the power of your words and using them to build instead of break. A man faces battles every day, expectations, pressure, criticism, fear. If the one place he comes home to, the one heart he trusts, becomes another battlefield, he'll shut down. But when he finds a woman who speaks to him with belief, who sees not just who he is, but who he could be, and treats him like he's already there, that's when you earn not just his love, but his loyalty. Respect shows up in small moments. When you disagree with him, it's choosing not to cut him down or belittle his ideas. When he shares something vulnerable, it's listening, not judging. When he fails, it's not throwing it in his face, but reminding him who he really is. It's letting him lead when he can and having his back when he can't. Respect isn't passive, it's active. It's choosing to honor him even when you're mad. It's knowing the difference between correcting and controlling. You don't have to shrink to respect a man. You just have to see him. Let me give you a quick example to make this real. There was a woman named Leah. She was dating this guy, Marcus, a hard-working, ambitious man who was still building his way up. One night, they went to a fancy dinner with some of her friends, and the topic turned to careers. Marcus was still grinding in a job he didn't love, and one of the friends made a slick comment, kind of a backhanded joke, about dating potential. Everyone laughed, except Leah. She looked over and said calmly, "Marcus has more drive than anyone I've ever met. He's not potential, he's purpose and progress." That night, she didn't just earn more of his heart, she sealed her place in it. Because in that moment, in front of others, when she could have stayed quiet or laughed along, she chose respect. She covered him, uplifted him, and made him feel like a man. That's unforgettable. Respect in a relationship becomes the silent fuel that keeps everything else running. It doesn't shout, it doesn't beg for attention, but it's always working. And when a man feels respected, he becomes more open, more affectionate, more committed. He starts to lead with his heart because he knows it's safe with you. And the beauty is, when you give respect, you often get it right back. Because a real man, when honored, doesn't take it for granted. He rises up to earn it again and again. So if you're wondering how to truly capture a man, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime, start with respect. It's not about stroking ego, it's about speaking to his spirit. Lift him up even when he's low. Believe in him, especially when he doubts himself. Make him feel like he matters. Do that and you won't just have his attention, you'll have his devotion. One of the most powerful things a woman can do to capture a man's heart and keep it is to keep her standards high, not as a test, not as a game, but as a reflection of how she sees herself. Because here's the truth, the way you carry yourself teaches others how to treat you. When a man sees that you know your worth, when he realizes you don't settle for less than you deserve, that immediately sets you apart. High standards don't scare the right man. They challenge him to be better. And if he's serious, he'll rise to meet you every single time. See, when you drop your standards to keep someone interested, you're not keeping them. You're just holding on to a version of them that fits your lowered expectation, and that never lasts. Men are wired to pursue. We love a woman who knows who she is, what she wants, and isn't afraid to say no to what doesn't serve her. That doesn't make you difficult, that makes you valuable. Think about it. Diamonds aren't found on sidewalks. They're hidden deep in the earth, rare and refined. And because of that, people are willing to go to great lengths to claim them. Now, high standards don't mean being cold, rude, or impossible. It means you've done the work to know what you want, and you won't compromise your peace, your self-respect, or your future just to have someone next to you. It means you've got goals, you've got boundaries, and you don't accept excuses in place of effort. You don't chase love, you attract it. Because the right one won't make you lower your standards, he'll meet you at them. Let's make this real with a quick story. There was a woman named Tasha who started dating a guy named Darren. Now, Darren was charming, good-looking, and could talk the talk. But Tasha had her standards. She believed in consistency, communication, and effort, not just words, but real follow-through. So when Darren started canceling plans last minute, taking hours to respond, and brushing things off with, "I've just been busy," she didn't beg for attention. She calmly told him, "I don't do inconsistency. If you want to be part of my life, show up like it matters. If not, I'll make room for someone who will." Darren was shocked. He was used to women overlooking that kind of stuff, but Tasha didn't blink. And guess what? Darren either had to step up or step out, because she wasn't lowering her standard to fit his laziness. That one moment changed everything. Darren realized he couldn't come halfway with Tasha. He had to be all in or get left behind. And over time, he began to respect her more deeply because she respected herself first. That's the kind of energy that turns a maybe into a must-have. Here's what women forget sometimes. Having standards isn't about being picky. It's about protecting your peace. It's about filtering out people who only want temporary benefits but aren't ready for long-term effort. When you keep your bar high, you attract people who know how to reach for it. And you make it clear, this isn't a game. This is a woman who knows what she brings to the table, and she's not afraid to eat alone until the right person pulls up a chair. So, don't ever apologize for having standards. Don't water yourself down to make someone else comfortable, because the one who truly sees your worth, he won't ask you to shrink. He'll grow right beside you. And when that happens, you won't have to question his heart. You'll already have it. Mystery is one of the most underestimated powers a woman holds when it comes to controlling a man's heart. Not secrecy, not playing hard to get in a childish way, but real, intentional mystery. The kind that leaves a man curious, wanting to know more, drawn in deeper every time he sees you or talks to you. When a woman keeps a little something to herself, when she doesn't give it all away at once, emotionally, mentally, physically, it triggers a man's natural instinct to chase, to discover, to pursue. And that is where the emotional connection deepens. The problem today is that everything is instant. We meet someone and we're already sharing our whole life story before dessert hits the table. We're posting everything online, talking all day and night, giving someone full access before they've even earned a key. But what's easy to get is easy to forget. Real mystery makes you unforgettable. When you leave a little room for wonder, a little pause between text, a little grace in your silence, that's when his curiosity turns into investment. A man's attention span can be short, but when he's intrigued, when he's emotionally engaged in trying to understand who you are, how you think, what lights you up, he becomes locked in. That's the kind of engagement that goes beyond physical attraction. He's no longer chasing your looks, he's chasing your mind. He starts imagining you, thinking about you, even when you're not around. And when a man's imagination is involved, you have his heart. Because now, you're not just a person, you're a presence. Now let's be clear. Being mysterious isn't about playing games or manipulating. It's about understanding your value. You don't have to be an open book in chapter 1. Let him read slowly. Let the story unfold. Every layer he uncovers should feel like a reward. That doesn't make you distant, it makes you magnetic. You don't need to share every thought, every fear, or every detail of your past right away. Let intimacy grow with time. Make space for curiosity. Let him wonder, what is she thinking? What does she want? What matters most to her? That's where the emotional bond starts forming. Let me give you a quick example. There was a woman named Simone. She was elegant, smart, and had this calm confidence about her. She met a guy named Andre at a friend's gathering. They clicked, had great conversation, and exchanged numbers. But instead of texting him all day the next day or flooding him with selfies and stories about her past, Simone kept it light. She responded thoughtfully, kept some mystery, didn't always answer right away, and never overshared. When they met again, she spoke with clarity, but didn't try to prove herself. She smiled, but never begged for attention. She let him earn her time. Andre was used to women doing the most to impress him, but Simone left him wondering, who is she really? What's her story? And that mystery, it drove him wild, not in a lustful way, but in a committed way. He made time, asked deeper questions, and started showing real effort. Because Simone wasn't trying to be chaste, she was just herself, and she knew her worth. The mystery didn't make her seem distant, it made her irresistible. That's the energy. When you understand that your presence is a privilege, you don't rush to reveal every part of yourself. You move with grace, you let connection grow naturally, and in doing that, you invite him into a journey, not a sprint. So don't be afraid to leave a little space, a little pause, a little intrigue. You are not a puzzle to solve. You are a masterpiece to experience. And the man who's truly worthy of your heart will take his time to discover every beautiful piece. A man's heart is tied closely to how a woman makes him feel about himself. That's one of the biggest secrets to understand. You don't have to compete with every woman out there. You don't need to be the most beautiful, the most successful, or the most outgoing. What will truly capture a man's heart is when you become his peace. In a world that constantly demands, pressures, and criticizes him, when he finds a woman who makes him feel safe, valued, and respected, that's where his heart starts to settle. Men might not say it out loud, but emotional safety is everything. We're taught to be strong, tough, not to show too much vulnerability. So when a man meets a woman who gives him space to breathe, who listens without always judging, who supports without trying to fix him, that woman becomes irreplaceable. She's the calm in his storm. And believe me, when a man finds peace in your presence, he doesn't want to lose that. He may not always express it with flowers or poems, but he'll protect it. He'll prioritize you because peace is rare and rare things are treasured. Being his peace doesn't mean you lose your voice. It doesn't mean you tolerate bad behavior or shrink yourself to make him comfortable. What it means is that your presence doesn't add chaos to his life. It brings clarity. You're not always arguing, always proving a point, always catching him slip. You're not turning every disagreement into a war zone. Instead, you choose your battles, you communicate with grace, and you allow both of you to grow without tearing each other down. That's power. That's what makes a man feel like he's finally home. Let me share a real example to make this point hit home. There was a woman named Brielle who was dating a guy named Marcus. Marcus was ambitious, always on the go, constantly trying to juggle work, family, and his goals. He had had a few relationships in the past where everything felt like pressure. He had to explain himself all the time, defend every move, and it left him drained. But with Brielle, it was different. She was strong, yes. She had her own goals, her own life. But when Marcus was with her, he didn't feel like he had to be perfect. She listened to him without interrupting. When he failed at something, she didn't throw it in his face. She encouraged him to try again. When he got distant because life got hard, she didn't chase. She gave him space and reminded him she was there when he needed her. That simple energy, that peace, made Marcus open up in ways he never had before. He started sharing his dreams, his fears, his past, and through it all, Brielle never tried to control him. She simply supported him. Her peace gave him strength. And it wasn't long before Marcus started treating Brielle not just like a girlfriend, but like a partner, a teammate, a queen. Because once a man knows that you're his peace, he'll build with you, he'll protect you, he'll cherish you. See, it's not about always saying the right things or doing grand gestures. It's about the feeling you create. Does he feel safe to be vulnerable? Does he feel like he's enough when he's with you? Can he lay down the weight of the world and just be around you? If the answer is yes, then you've already got the key to his heart. So remember, the goal isn't just to be desired, it's to be deeply trusted. When a man finds peace in your presence, when you speak life into him instead of always pointing out flaws, when you allow space for connection without pressure, you don't just get his attention, you get his devotion. Peace is not passive. It's powerful. And if you can be that rare place of comfort in a world full of chaos, you won't just have his love, you'll have his loyalty for life. One of the most impactful ways to control a man's heart is to allow him to miss you. It's simple but incredibly powerful. In today's world where everything is instant, texts, calls, social media updates, people tend to be constantly available. But the truth is, too much presence, too much access, too much attention can lead to burnout. It can make a relationship feel routine, like two people going through the motions rather than truly connecting. When you give a man space, when you allow him to miss you, it creates an emotional gap that he will want to fill. Absence, in this case, truly does make the heart grow fonder. When a woman knows how to pull back just enough, she gives a man the chance to realize how much he values her. He starts to miss the sound of her voice, the way she makes him laugh, the way she listens to him like no one else does. When you're always available, he never has to feel that longing. But when you allow some distance, he begins to appreciate the things about you he might have taken for granted. That desire to reconnect, to reach out to you, to find that missing piece, it starts to build an emotional pull that's deep and lasting. Allowing a man to miss you isn't about playing games. It's not about being distant or cold-hearted. It's about understanding that you, as an individual, have a full life outside of the relationship. You're not defined by the amount of time you spend together or by the number of texts exchanged. You've got your own passions, your own hobbies, and your own identity. When you step back and live your life, it not only strengthens your own sense of self, but also makes the time you do spend together more meaningful. The moments become more special because they're not just a routine. They're moments you've earned and shared after some time apart. Here's an example to illustrate this. Let's take the story of Maya and Chris. Maya and Chris had been dating for a few months. Everything was going great. They'd spend hours on the phone, hang out almost every weekend, and message each other constantly. But over time, Maya started noticing that Chris wasn't as eager to see her as he used to be. Their conversations were more routine, their hangouts felt like obligations rather than exciting reunions. She realized that in her effort to stay close, she'd overdone it. She was always around, always available. One weekend, Maya decided to take a step back. She made plans with her friends, went on a solo trip to the countryside, and didn't respond to Chris's text right away. She allowed herself the space to recharge and reconnect with her own life. At first, Chris noticed the distance. He wasn't used to the silence. He missed hearing about her day, missed making plans together. He realized how much he enjoyed their time and how little he'd appreciated it when it was always so readily available. When Maya returned from her trip, Chris was waiting. He'd called her a few times, texted more than usual, and when they finally met up, he was visibly excited. He told her how much he missed her, how he'd started to miss the sound of her voice and the way she made him feel at ease. Maya, with her calm confidence, simply smiled. She didn't say anything to explain her absence. She didn't have to. The space had created the longing. The longing had created the appreciation, and that was the spark they needed to bring back the magic in their relationship. What Maya did wasn't a game. It wasn't manipulative. It was about maintaining her individuality, allowing her presence to be a gift, not an obligation. She didn't have to chase Chris's attention. She allowed him the space to miss her, and when he did, he came back with more effort, more interest, and more genuine connection. The key is simple. Don't be afraid to take a step back. When you allow him to miss you, you make him realize that you are a unique presence in his life, not something that can be taken for granted. You add value by being an individual, by living your life, and by creating space for him to come to you, wanting to share in that life. When done right, this dynamic doesn't weaken the relationship. It strengthens it, making the bond more meaningful, deeper, and more enduring. Now listen, you don't need to play games. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to know your power and move with intention. When you love smart, when you walk in purpose, and when you hold yourself like the queen you are, his heart, you won't just control it, you'll own it. So stop chasing attention, start commanding respect. And I promise you, his heart follow.